This is the Spatial Media Expert Series presented by Skyrim.ai. In this episode, we explore how sports media shapes youth participation and why the next generation of sports experiences matters.
Imagine the greatest soccer goal you've ever seen, right?
Oh, yeah. The stadium just completely erupting.
Exactly. The striker slides across the grass. The crowd goes wild. It's just pure magic.
It really is.
But here's the crazy part. For like almost 80% of younger fans today, they will literally never watch the 89 minutes of tactical, grinding gameplay that actually surrounded that magic moment.
No, they won't. They'll just see the 5-second clip on their phone.
Right, just the clip. And as we're going to uncover today, that shift, it isn't just changing media. It is fundamentally breaking the way kids actually learn to play sports.
It completely fractures the process.
Yeah.
Because if you only see the explosion, you never learn how to light the fuse.
Wow.
And if you don't know how to light the fuse, you don't even step onto the field to try.
Which is exactly why we are plunging into this specific stack of research today.
Yeah.
A massive welcome to you, our listener.
Yes, welcome.
And you really need to check your calendar right now because today is a monumental date. It is Thursday, June 11th, 2026.
The big day.
The huge day. If you've been anywhere near a television or, a news feed, you know today is the official kickoff of the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Spread all across North America.
Right in our backyard. And because the globe's attention is just entirely locked on this event right now, we are officially launching our second annual Skyrim.ai Summer Expert Series.
It's honestly the perfect day to start this series.
It really is.
Because we're looking at this amazing collection of reports, case studies, and industry research that's collectively titled, "The Screen is the New Field."
Such a great title.
Right, and the core mission for us today in this deep dive is to, tear down that nostalgic Dusty Park image of how youth sports operate.
Yeah, the old way of thinking.
Exactly. We need to unpack the actual mechanics of the modern participation funnel.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the starting line for a kid today isn't like a physical sign-up sheet pinned to a community center corkboard anymore.
Not at all.
The very first field a kid steps onto is that glowing piece of glass in their hands.
The screen.
The screen.
Yeah.
And the research we've pulled suggests that if a sport isn't visible in a child's digital diet, it functionally just doesn't exist for them.
It's invisible.
So today, for you listening, we are going to look at everything. We're going from the monumental participation spike following the 1999 U.S. women's national team.
A classic case study.
Totally. All the way through to the absolute fragmentation of how Gen Z watches media now. And finally, we'll look at the technological leaps that might just fix this completely broken pipeline.
So to really grasp this, we have to kind of rethink the traditional geography of sports entirely.
Okay, what do you mean by geography?
Well, for decades, the entire model was predicated on local access, right?
Right. Like, is there a hoop at the end of your street?
Exactly. Or does your local high school have a soccer coach? But the framework introduced in this research completely upends that whole idea.
It puts the screen first.
Right. It posits this 4-stage media funnel that dictates participation long before a kid ever even touches a physical ball.
Okay, let's walk through those stages because the psychology here is honestly fascinating.
It really is. So the first stage is simply awareness.
Which makes sense. You can't play what you don't know exists.
Precisely. You need to see it first. Then you move to the second stage, which is aspiration.
Aspiration. So that's like the stadium lights, the roar of the crowd.
The massive broadcast events, yeah. It signals to a kid, like, hey, this thing is important to the culture.
Right. It makes you feel big.
Then comes the critical pivot. The third stage, identity.
Identity, okay.
Because aspiration alone is just a spectacle, right? It's just a cool show. Identity is when a young person sees a role model on that screen and subconsciously processes a real connection.
Oh, I see. Like they see someone who looks like them.
Exactly. Someone who looks like them, acts like them, maybe shares their background standing on that massive global stage.
It takes the spectacle and makes it deeply personal.
Right. And that personal connection is what leads to the final stage of the media funnel, which is intent.
You didn't.
Yes. The thought forms in their head. I want to try that.
I'm going to try that. But, the data slaps us with a very harsh reality check right there.
Yeah, it does.
Because intent is just a synapse firing in a kid's brain.
It's just an idea.
Right. It is not actual participation.
Yeah.
And looking at the Project Play State of Play 2025 report we have here in our sources, the translation from intent to action is incredibly fragile right now.
So fragile.
Although, on the surface, the numbers actually look like a victory.
They do trick you a bit at first glance.
Yeah, because it says youth sports participation recovered from the 2019 pandemic crash. It hit 55.4% for kids ages 6 to 17 in 2023.
Which sounds great.
And the gains held steady into 2024. So over half of kids are playing.
But those top-line numbers obscure a massive systemic vulnerability.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Because you have media successfully generating all this intent, right? Kids want to play. But the physical infrastructure required to actually catch that intent is becoming financially walled off.
It's becoming a country club.
Essentially, yes. The same Project Play data highlights this devastating friction point. The cost of youth sports has surged by 46% since 2019.
46%. That is just astronomical.
It's pricing people out left and right.
And polling from the AP News data in our stack here, 49% of families are currently struggling to afford local sports participation.
Half of all families.
Basically, yeah. And when you look at households earning under $40,000 a year, that number climbs to 57%.
So over half of those families are entirely priced out before they even start.
Which creates this profound bottleneck.
A massive bottleneck. You have this incredibly sophisticated digital machine generating all this desire, funneling kids toward an ecosystem that essentially demands a luxury tax to enter.
And, this is where I really have to push back on the premise of the research we are analyzing today.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because if the local infrastructure is that broken, if 57% of lower-income families cannot physically afford the league fees, the travel, the equipment, why does it even matter how optimized or inspiring the broadcast is?
It's a fair question.
To me, it's like seeing a brilliant high-definition billboard for a massive amusement park.
Okay, I like this analogy.
Right, so the media gets you incredibly excited, gets you all the way to the front gate. But the local infrastructure, the actual cost, the transportation, the local clubs, that's the ticket you need to actually ride the ride.
Barrier to entry.
Exactly.
Right.
Without the ticket, doesn't that beautiful billboard just create resentment? You're just taunting people with an experience they literally can't have.
That amusement park analogy gets right to the absolute heart of the crisis, honestly.
Because it's frustrating.
Inspiration without access absolutely breeds frustration. It's a completely broken promise to these kids.
Right.
But consider the inverse scenario, which, by the way, we've seen fail in numerous municipal projects over the years. Access without inspiration yields empty fields.
Oh, wow. Access without inspiration.
Exactly. You can have perfectly manicured, beautifully funded mini pitches built right in the center of a community, completely subsidized, totally free to use.
But no one uses them.
Right. Because if the kids in that community have zero cultural connection to the game, if they've never seen the sport celebrated on their screens, never felt that aspiration or identity, those beautiful fields just sit totally vacant.
So you really do need the billboard and the ticket.
You need both. The media is the gasoline, but the community infrastructure is the engine.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
And, we don't have to just theorize about what happens when you pour high-octane media gasoline into a fully constructed waiting engine.
No, we don't.
Because we have the defining historical case study right here in the research, the 1999 FIFA Women's World Cup.
Let's really dive into this, because for you listening right now, whether you actually lived through that summer or you only know it as history, the sheer scale of that event is almost hard to comprehend in today's fragmented media environment.
It was a true monoculture moment.
It really was. Looking at the retrospective from the New Yorker in our sources, the final match at the Rose Bowl packed in over 90,000 fans.
Which is incredible on its own.
Right, but the real earthquake was the broadcast itself. Roughly 40 million people watched that game live on ABC.
40 million.
40 million. It completely dominated the national conversation.
And what's fascinating here is the resulting metric, which is really the anchor for this entire deep dive today.
Let's hear the number.
According to the data aggregated from Time and the National Federation of State High School Associations, girls' high school soccer participation jumped by 45% following that 1999 tournament.
45%?
Yeah, nearly 500,000 girls just flooding into the system.
But wait, tying this back to the amusement park analogy, a 45% spike doesn't just happen because of a good TV show.
No, of course not.
Because the 1999 team didn't go out and build local soccer fields overnight.
Precisely. The engine was already built. but it had taken decades of exhausting, unglamorous work behind the scenes.
Right, the infrastructure.
Exactly. You had Title IX legislation in the 1970s legally forcing schools to create baseline opportunities.
Which was huge.
Massive. Then you had college athletic pathways slowly forming through the 80s and 90s. You had local youth clubs organizing, parents driving vans, coaches fighting for equal field time.
The grassroots grind.
All of that infrastructure was painstakingly laid out, just waiting in the dark.
So what did the broadcast actually do then?
What the 1999 broadcast did was flip the switch. It acted as an incredible accelerant. It provided undeniable, highly visible proof that soccer was a space where women were not just accepted, but where they could be global icons.
It fundamentally shifted the psychology of the aspiring athlete.
It did.
There's a fantastic report from The Guardian in our stack called Here for Every Goal, and it digs into the specific psychological mechanics of this.
It's a great read.
It points out that visible role models on screen do much more than just teach the rules of a game. They actively lower the emotional barrier to entry.
The emotional barrier, that's key.
Right. Because think about, like, imposter syndrome for a 10-year-old girl stepping onto a predominantly male-dominated sports complex.
It's intimidating.
Terribly intimidating.
Yeah.
But the media broadcast gives her deep confidence. If you see millions of people cheering for women who look like you on network television, the idea of stepping onto your local high school field suddenly isn't an act of rebellion anymore.
It's normalized ambition.
A normalized ambition,
It was-
exactly.
I mean, the broadcast didn't buy those girls their cleats, but it gave them the emotional permission to ask their parents for them.
Yeah.
And it gave them the societal validation to wear them proudly.
But, looking at the men's side of the sport, the narrative gets a little complicated here.
It does.
Because the U.S. hosted the Men's World Cup just 5 years prior, in 1994.
Right.
Yet we didn't see an explosive 45% spike in men's participation after that. So did the 1994 tournament fail as a media catalyst?
Well, the sources actually go to great lengths to correct that exact misconception.
Early.
Yeah. The 1994 Men's World Cup was an overwhelming success, but it was operating in a totally different stage of infrastructure development compared to the women's game in 99.
Okay, how so?
The U.S. men making the knockout rounds in 94 provided the vital leverage needed to launch Major League Soccer 2 years later.
Oh, right. MLS started right after that.
Exactly. It was foundational. The real cautionary tale for the men's game, the terrifying moment for participation, happened much more recently.
The 2018 World Cup.
Yes. 2018, when the U.S. men's national team shockingly failed to qualify for the tournament in Russia, the sport in America suffered an invisible catastrophe.
Invisible catastrophe because they just weren't there.
Right. It lost a massive visibility window. For an entire summer, when global attention was at its absolute peak, the U.S. men were entirely absent from the screen.
Wow.
And the research clearly indicates that when you lose relevance on the screen, you lose the backyard mimicry.
You lose the kids pretending to be their national heroes during recess.
Exactly. The momentum of the participation funnel stalls out right at the top.
So what does this all mean for us today? Because it brings us crashing right back to the stakes of June 11th, 2026. Today. The window is opening right now. We are staring down the barrel of a supersized tournament.
The biggest one yet.
48 teams, 104 matches. It is the absolute pinnacle of the sport, operating across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico until July 19th.
And the soil has never been more fertile for this.
What does the data say?
We have an extensive Nielsen study picked up by Reuters right here. It shows that over the last 5 years, North America's soccer fan base has expanded by 10.9%.
10.9%. That's huge.
That's an audience of over 136 million fans. The U.S. alone has quietly become the fourth largest soccer fan base on the entire planet.
That is wild. I don't think most people realize that.
They don't. And even more critical for our discussion on participation today, 64% of those fans explicitly expect their interest to grow even more during this tournament.
So the top of the funnel, the awareness and the aspiration is completely primed and ready to go.
It's overflowing.
But how do the organizers avoid the empty field syndrome we talked about? How do they make sure this doesn't just become, a massive advertising vehicle that completely evaporates by August?
By strategically treating this not as just a television show, but as a participation window.
A participation window.
Exactly. The governing bodies are acutely aware that attention fades quickly, but physical access endures. You have to build the bridge while the spotlight is hot.
And the AP report we have details exactly how U.S. Soccer is attempting to build that bridge right now with their Soccer Forward initiative.
Yes, Soccer Forward.
They aren't just pouring money into broadcast commercials. They're aggressively expanding after-school access. They're subsidizing physical mini fields in urban centers.
Getting the fields actually built.
Right. And they're distributing tangible coaching resources directly to communities that usually get priced out. It's a very deliberate attempt to catch that massive wave of broadcast excitement and channel it directly into local, accessible infrastructure before the wave breaks.
It's basically the 1999 blueprint adapted for 2026.
Yeah.
You use the glowing screen to ignite the intent, but you make sure the local pitch is waiting the second the kid puts the phone down.
Okay, I'm looking at this pipeline, and on paper, it sounds airtight.
That seems perfect.
The local mini fields are being built, the massive media event is kicking off today, and the kids have the screens in their hands ready to watch.
But
Yeah, the entire second half of our source stack points to a catastrophic flaw in this assumption.
because the pipeline relies on an entirely outdated model of human behavior.
How so?
The 1999 blueprint assumes that a kid in 2026 is going to sit on the couch and watch a methodical 90-minute soccer match exactly the way their parents did decades ago.
And they just aren't.
No.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because when you dive into the data on modern viewership, the statistics are actually terrifying for traditional sports leagues.
Very scary numbers.
We are witnessing the absolute collapse of the full broadcast for Generation Z.
Yeah.
Research from the Financial Times and PwC reveals that only 19% of younger fans actually watch an entire game when they tune in at home.
Think about the magnitude of that. 19%.
It's crazy.
4 out of 5 younger fans are abandoning the linear television model entirely.
And by linear television, we mean
Meaning traditional scheduled TV broadcasts where you sit down at 2 p.m., turn on the channel, and watch a program start to finish.
right, that behavior is just evaporating.
Evaporating.
Time Magazine's profile on the sports media company, Overtime, absolutely confirms this exact behavioral shift.
Yes, Overtime is a perfect example.
Younger fans aren't discovering sports through 3-hour broadcasts interrupted by, car commercials.
They don't have the patience.
Exactly. They are discovering sports algorithmically. They are scrolling on their phones, consuming 10-second highlights, creator-led commentary, and hyperkinetic social clips.
Which introduces what researchers in our sources call the highlight reel dilemma.
The highlight reel dilemma.
And this is where the evolution of media becomes genuinely dangerous for physical participation.
Because it's too short.
Well, we established earlier that media needs to inspire, right? But crucially, it also needs to educate. The inherent flaw of the highlight reel is its extreme shallowness.
It only shows the explosion.
Exactly. A highlight prioritizes the outcome.
Right.
It delivers the quick dopamine hit of the spectacular 30-yard goal, the slam dunk, the impossible diving save.
The shiny stuff.
The shiny stuff. But to fit into a 5-second vertical video, it aggressively strips away the entire process.
It cuts out all the context.
It cuts out the defensive spacing, the off-ball movement, the tactical buildup, the specific timing that allowed that striker to get open in the first place.
And if you strip away the process, the sport becomes what the researchers define as illegible.
Illegible.
Unreadable. It's a brilliant concept, because if a kid only ever sees the spectacular, gravity-defying finish, they literally cannot comprehend how the play actually developed.
It just looks like superhuman magic.
Magic, exactly. And you can't practice magic in your backyard.
No, you can't. And that illegibility destroys the final step of our funnel, intent.
Because they feel like they could never do it.
Exactly. It destroys the confidence needed to transition from watching to playing.
It brings me back to the amusement park billboard, honestly, but maybe a better way to look at this specific media problem is through cooking.
Okay, let's hear the cooking analogy.
Imagine trying to learn how to cook a complex gourmet meal by only ever looking at heavily featured pictures of the finished plate on Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
Right. You see the beautiful result. You might even really desire to eat it. But you have absolutely zero understanding of how the chef chopped the onions, what temperature the stove was set to, or how the sauce was emulsified.
You don't know the step.
You're just staring at an outcome with no instructions.
Yeah.
The Instagram photo gives you aspiration, but zero legibility.
That is the perfect distillation of the problem right there.
Yeah.
The highlight reel gives you the hunger, but it hides the recipe.
Hides the recipe. But here is the massive dilemma for these sports leagues. You cannot force a 14-year-old to sit down and watch a slow-paced 3-hour broadcast.
You really can't.
You can't put the genie back in the bottle. They're going to use TikTok. They're going to watch Reels. So if the long-form broadcast is essentially dying for this demographic, how on earth do we fix the short-form highlight?
Well, we connect this to the bigger picture. The solution isn't regression.
Meaning?
Leagues can't mandate that kids adopt the media habits of 1999. It won't work. The solution is evolving the nature of the media itself.
Evolving it how?
We have to transition from passive viewing, which is what a traditional broadcast or a static 5-second video clip is, into participatory media.
Participatory media.
We have to make the highlight deep. We have to give them the recipe.
And this is exactly where the technological leap we've been building toward today comes in.
The game changer.
Our source stack heavily features a platform called Skyrim.ai's Stadium OS. And reading through this stuff, Stadium OS isn't just a shiny new camera trick for the broadcast truck.
Far from it.
It is fundamentally an educational tool engineered to directly solve this generational media shift.
It alters the foundational relationship between the viewer and the screen.
Let's break down the technical realities of what this platform actually does, because it sounds like science fiction.
It really does.
Stadium OS utilizes real-time 3D spatial capture. The sources mentioned it creates virtual cameras inside the field of play, allows for unlimited virtual replays, features 3D telestration, and operates on an open development platform.
So let's translate what that actually means for the fan, right? How does it capture this?
Yeah, how does it work?
Instead of just pointing standard TV cameras at the field, a system like Stadium OS typically relies on an array of highly advanced optical tracking cameras positioned all around the stadium.
Like dozens of them.
Exactly. And these cameras are capturing the X, Y, and Z coordinates of every single player, their limbs, and the ball dozens of times a second. It generates these massive point clouds of data, effectively creating a live, three-dimensional digital twin of the match inside a game engine.
Okay, so they are digitizing the physical reality of the game in real time.
Yes.
But I have to stop you here and bring back my pushback from earlier.
Okay, hit me.
You just spent the first half of this deep dive outlining how 57% of low-income families cannot even afford local league fees.
Right.
How does an advanced 3D spatial computing platform solve that? Aren't we just talking about expensive virtual reality headsets and high-end processing tech?
It sounds expensive.
Yeah, that seems like a massive financial barrier. You're just building a deeper moat around the sport.
That is a very critical challenge, but this is where the open development platform aspect becomes vital.
Why?
Because Stadium OS doesn't require a $500 VR headset to function. An open development platform means the creators of the tech provide software development kits, SDKs, to app developers, social media platforms, and independent creators.
So they share the tools.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This spatial data can be rendered and interacted with on the exact same smartphone that the 14-year-old is already using to scroll social media.
Okay, so the delivery mechanism is the hardware they literally already own.
Yes, the phone in their pocket. Now, let's apply this directly to the highlight reel dilemma and your cooking analogy from earlier.
Yeah, let's connect them.
Imagine that young fan scrolling on their phone today, and they encounter a viral clip of an amazing World Cup goal.
Okay.
In the old model, they see the 5-second flat video, double tap to like it, and scroll past. The sport remains illegible. They just saw the picture of the meal.
Right. It was passive. But with this spatial tech integrated.
With Stadium OS integrated into the app, that highlight isn't a flat video anymore. It's a fully navigable 3D environment.
On their phone screen.
On their phone. The kid can literally take their thumb and swipe the screen to rotate the camera angle all the way around the frozen moment of the goal.
That is incredible.
They can tap a button and suddenly their screen is showing the exact point of view of the defender who got beaten. They can pinch to zoom out to a bird's eye tactical view to see the exact spacing of the midfield.
Oh, wow. So they can see the process.
Yes.
They can see the decoy run that pulled the center back out of position. They can actually see why the striker got open, not just the fact that the ball went into the net.
Precisely. It takes that shallow, dopamine-driven, short-form discovery and instantly injects it with long-form meaning.
It's interactive.
It transforms the screen from a passive entertainment device into an interactive spatial learning environment.
It makes the invisible geometry of the sport completely legible again.
Completely legible.
And, going back to the psychology we discussed, when a child actually understands how a play works.
When the magic is revealed to just be well-executed mechanics.
Exactly. They gain the real confidence to try and replicate it. The screen isn't just showing them the game anymore. It's actively teaching them the game.
It gives them the recipe, shows them the stove, and lets them inspect the ingredients from every possible angle.
And because it operates on an open platform, the extrapolation of this technology is just staggering.
Oh, it changes everything. Think about how this alters the future of sports fandom and creator culture.
Oh, it's wild. You're going to have Twitch streamers, TikTok analysts, and alternate broadcast hosts taking this spatial data and breaking down plays for their specific audiences in real time.
Absolutely.
Like a creator could pause a live World Cup match, drop a virtual camera right next to the referee, and explain the offside rule to 1 million viewers using 3D telestration.
Which is basically drawing digital lines and arrows directly into the 3D space of the field.
Right. You're turning video game-like experiences into legitimate, highly effective training wheels for real-world physical participation.
Which brings us full circle to the central thesis of our entire discussion today.
The screen is the new field.
Exactly. The screen has taken a lot of the blame over the last decade for youth inactivity, right?
Yeah, screen time is always the villain.
Always. But the screen is not the inherent enemy of the physical field. The problem was just that the media on the screen was passive and illegible.
It hid the recipe.
It did. But when designed correctly, when media evolves from passive spectacle to participatory education, the screen becomes the most powerful, infinitely scalable path back to the physical field.
What a journey this has been today.
It really has.
We started by looking at the cultural explosion of the 1999 Women's World Cup, proving that media visibility could ignite a 45% spike in participation.
Assuming the local infrastructure was ready.
Right, exactly. Then we confronted the harsh realities of the 2020s, where a 46% rise in costs is just pricing millions of families out of the game entirely.
A huge hurdle.
We traced the absolute fragmentation of Gen Z viewing habits, diagnosing the hidden danger of the illegible highlight reel.
The highlight reel dilemma.
And finally, we explored how spatial computing and platforms like Stadium OS are literally rebuilding the bridge between watching a game and actually understanding how to play it.
It is a critical evolution because as the 2026 World Cup kicks off today, the governing bodies really have to remember that visibility is only the first step of the funnel.
It's just the top.
The technology and the local access must be deeply integrated to catch that inspiration and forge it into actual physical participation.
And with that, I want to warmly thank you, the listener, for joining us on this very first installment of the Skyrim.ai Summer Expert Series.
Thank you so much for listening.
Spending this historic World Cup kickoff day with us, diving into the mechanics of how we actually grow the games we love, it really means the world.
It has been a true pleasure to synthesize all of this with you today. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought experiment to ponder on your own.
Oh, I love these. Let's hear it.
It's a concept that builds on everything we've just discussed about spatial data, but it pushes it just a few years further into the future.
Right.
If platforms like Stadium OS are already capable of capturing the exact 3D spatial data of the world's greatest athletes in real time, how long until consumer augmented reality catches up?
Well, AR.
Right. How long until a kid can put on a pair of lightweight AR glasses in their own backyard, literally step inside a volumetric replay of today's World Cup highlight?
Wait, like physically walk around in it?
Yes, and physically practice their footwork against a digital ghost of a professional striker.
That is insane.
Will the next generation of elite athletes bypass expensive, exclusive academies entirely simply by interacting with the physical, digital echoes of the sports media they consume at home?
Wow. Practicing defensive drills against the digital ghost of a World Cup champion mapped right over your own local park.
It's coming.
The screen truly, literally becoming the field. I absolutely love that thought. For you listening, keep pondering that, keep questioning the systems and the media around you, and we will see you back here for the next deep dive.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Expert Series by Skyrim.ai. We appreciate you spending your time with us. If you enjoyed today's conversation, give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss future episodes. Until next time, learn, connect, and influence the industry.